Want to start this tourism meeting on time, first time this year. I need a motion to approve the minutes of March 29th.
I'll make that motion.
Right. Can I get a second? Ms. Hogan, second. John Stroud. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move on. I'm going to turn it right over to Joanne. She's got a couple of presentations to make. We'll move on. Go ahead, Joanne.
Good morning. Just a couple of updates on things going on in the department, and then we do have a couple of presentations for you this morning. You all should have received my newsletter a week or so ago, just kind of updating on lots of good things that are going on within the department and within the industry, and an update on the Smith trend, which for the last several months has been up in both demand on a single month and then demand year to date. So we're happy and optimistic. We're off to a good start for 2018. Tanya and I attended the Empire State Tourism Conference last week, and Gina popped down on one day. Just a good opportunity for us to network with our industry peers and attend breakout sessions on some of the topics within the industry that we need to be up to date on. We hear from Isle of New York and what's going on within that promotion and program. And there was an overview of the ATA conference that will be here in 2019 that I know that Gina and Kristen will speak to. We also met with Gina and Kristen last week, or maybe the week before that, just our monthly update to stay in touch with them and know what's going on within the CVB, our co-branding, our sharing of tech, sharing of web services, so that's just, we're moving right along. So a couple of things that I'm going to hand off to Peter, and he's going to update you on some of our first quarter promotions, and then over to our ad workshop folks for a presentation.
So just a quick before I start, at the breakout sessions at the Empire State Development Committee, they used in one of the sessions was Travel Guide of the Future, and they used our guide as an example of what this what the magazine should start transitioning to as an example of good tactics. So a little tooting of our own horn. So I'm going to cover the first quarter recap. This is very top level stuff. Any of this stuff, if you have any questions, we can dig into it much deeper. But I will review some things here. So we have Ad Workshop here, and they're going to talk about the major mixed media campaign, a lot of the digital tactics we used to promote the summer. And it features this year, new, is a Gore Mountain campaign. So we reached out to Emily and said, hey, how can we partner to really dig into this winter and move the needle? So they'll cover that. And then I'm going to cover briefly these themed content campaigns. We talked about that at the January meeting of some of our new tactics this year. So this is kind of like what we're pushing and how we're packaging these things centered around really themes that kind of already exist, and some of the metrics that go along with that. And these things are just kind of the new things that we're doing, the exciting things, and we're still doing the print ads, we're still doing the email marketing, we're still doing the travel guide distribution, pushing all that stuff out. So all that's happening on top of this, but this is the new interesting stuff. So January, we're packaging it around ice bars. Again, this is further pushing the 365. And what we did here is package 2 content articles that really delve into what's going on in the area and sell the piece, and 4 event highlights. And this is all digital tactics. We're on Facebook pushing these, spending about close to $5,000 on individual pieces of this, and pushing it out there. A lot of engagement, so 2,000, almost 23,000 page views derived from these initiatives, and nearly 27,000 engagements within that time period. That much. The engagements are people commenting on this on Facebook, people sharing it with their friends, or people liking it. So really good interaction. And to kind of track what we're doing, we're looking at web analytics up there. We also have our STR data, Smith Travel Research data. One of the interesting things is that demand for this particular month, January, was up 1.3%. And we're also now calling stakeholders to kind of see how their event went. So up in Bolton, it was a little bit of a mixed bag. We had a decline in the weekends, or we felt that the event was beginning to plateau. These are the people involved in these events. They're looking to further broaden how do they move these people off of just Saturday and Sunday. And then in Lake George, we had actually both weekends up 20% or thereabouts. So these are people at the event or hosting the event saying that some of these things are working.
Did you see the ice bar they had at the Holiday Inn?
I did not. They're always nice. The sculptures are amazing. February Winter Carnival. Again, a lot of these themes already exist, so it's just further packaging the content and pushing it out a little bit better. So we had 2 content articles talking about these, the Winter Carnivals, and 3 event highlights. And again, this generated quite a bit of engagement. So 38,000 page views, people checking out either the articles or the events themselves, and then trafficking from our websites to the events website that's existing, or engaging on Facebook. So again, nearly 35,000 people interacting with these posts in some fashion, whether it's sharing it with a friend or commenting. And that engagement leads to more. We have to have a conversation with them on Facebook. This one really we started to find our groove and starting to take off. Stakeholders insight. So I think certainly not only did this initiative help, but weather was a great factor this year. We had a really good winter. So this year's Winter Carnival was by all accounts one of the most successful, best carnival that they've had, one of the best in many years. And our STR data for that particular month up to 5.8%. And that's demand. More people coming here. March Maple Month. This is one of my favorites. I absolutely love maple season. But we called ahead and talked with Randy and people up in Thurman just how do we better promote this month. So Randy had some really great artwork. Kate Mandigo piece that they commissioned for her specifically for this kind of Thurman Maple Days, and they were generous enough to share it with us. And my goodness, did that really resonate on Facebook? It was just such a different piece of artwork, and it really helped grab some attention. So they were fantastic to work with. All the maple vendors up there were fantastic to work with. But we pushed out one content article, one event highlight, and we shared a post that was one of the maple vendors had some really neat content, and we thought we could pass it along. And again, this was a little bit of a smaller scale, a bit more niche, but it still was incredibly beneficial. Nearly 12,000 page views, people actually looking into this content, and 17,000 engagements. And the stakeholder insight, I think it's Perky Granger, kind of the be-all, end-all up there in Maple season. She's been incredible in helping us put this together. But the sentiment was whatever you did worked. And the follow-up was pretty neat because they had traditionally put X amount of dollars into the budget, and then this year they've kind of shifted some of that funding elsewhere. So they were in dire need of some promotion, and we kind of came in and offset that, and it seemed like it worked incredibly well. So we'll again partner with them in the future to further push these. So these are people actually, boots on the ground, helping us curate the content, get the content, and push it out there. Hone our messaging and really target this stuff. And demand for March was up 15.3%. So some key industry metrics, again, kind of putting our STR data up on the screen as much as we can share. 2018 year-to-date demand up 7.5%. And that's on top of last year's year-to-date demand. So this time last year also saw a 7.1% increase. So we're kind of moving the needle quite a bit here, off to a good start. The average daily rate increased slightly, but we're holding rates, so that's good. They're not dipping. And 2018 year-to-date revenue is up 8.5% among the hoteliers that participate in this STR data. So that's kind of where we stand right now. I'm going to turn it over to Ad Workshop unless there's any questions. They're going to kind of recap some of the big pieces, the traditional digital buys, and what we're going to do in the summer forecast.
Chairman, thank you. Demand 2017 year-to-date, 2018, where does that represent the number of bodies, heads in beds?
Rooms.
Yes.
Rooms sold.
So that's actual rooms sold. So last year, the first 3 months, it was up 7.1% from the year before, and this year we're up 7.5%.
All right, and just to answer that question, I do have Mike, our treasurer, because I'd rather have dollars and cents than percentages. So if Mike, you want to just what the amounts of money for sales tax and op tax and that in these percentages, you'll get that answer.
Well, excuse me, as of 4/26/18, which was last week, We're up 1.31% occupancy over the same period.
Do you have a number?
Yeah, total collected was $291,452. So
That's-
we're up about 3,800.
That's Octax.
Octax.
All right, thank you. I saw another hand. Now. Wild, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Where did he go?
Question for the treasurer. Mike, that should track, right? So if there's a 15% or whatever increase here in demand, we should also see that same kind of increase with the Octax. We're close to it.
Not necessarily. I mean, it does, I mean, it kind of parallels, but it's kind of hard to say that just because there's more rooms being rented, that our occupancy tax is going to go up the exact same amount. It just doesn't seem to quite track that way.
Do a lot of
promotions.
All right, go ahead.
This is it. I take that, what you're saying, as far as more room being rented. What we've heard in this room, months ago. Not that we're renting more rooms, it's just that we're raising our price, that's why it's up.
That's not true.
No,
Correct, so
That's
the
not
year to
true.
date.
I would like clarification.
Yep.
Are
So you
we
can
getting more
see-
rooms sold, or?
Definitely more rooms sold, and the average daily rate has increased less than 1%.
Okay.
So while it is up a little bit, I think you're going to see that most of the revenue generated is straight from more increase in rooms actually rented. And the data that we have can't be shared in this form, but we certainly have it downstairs for supervisors, decision makers to look at the actual raw data, and certainly be happy to review all that with you.
So if you'd like to stop in the office, we can certainly share this with you. We're looking at a county-wide demand, so perhaps, and I don't know this, but some of the hoteliers are talking about their own individual properties, but we do have that county-wide report, and I can tell you the number of rooms that were rented in February and the number of rooms that are rented in March, and therefore the increase.
Thank you.
Gina, I think, Gina,
Yeah,
CDB board?
What Mike Swan just said, and so one of your questions about 15% demand is because Easter and the winter and the spring break last year was in April. This year was in March. So the demand would show up in March for this year differently than what we'll see. It'll be level and flat for April. So hence you're having a year to date, that's where you might see the juxtaposition between the March and now what we'll see later for April.
And also, we collect quarterly, so we're a few months behind what you actually will see that big surge.
And a lot of those things, just, you know, even my little business, April was better for me than March.
That's great.
You know, I'm up almost 20%. I don't know where it came from, but we did something right, and some of the promotion was right, and I'm happy with it. So each business has a different niche. Each business has a different draw, and you catch them sometimes, and sometimes you don't. Yes, sir.
You have another branded player in the market. You have a Holiday Inn Express in the market that's now another branded property that's going to bring in increased occupancy as well.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that the barometer that I look at is, number one, what's the growth in additional room year to year or decline? That's one thing that pretty makes common sense. The other one is, how many additional rooms do we have available? Because sometimes that number, the occupancy rate may actually decrease, and yet our rooms, we're renting out more rooms, but we've added 10-15% in additional available rooms to be rented. So sometimes that's a misnomer. So for me personally, I think the most important statistic is year to year, how many rooms are being rented out. Because I can't control how many rooms are available, but I can say, at least in my mind, is the tourism and the CBD and all that, are they doing a good job in getting more people up here? That's what I look at as a key barometer, not how many rooms are available in the occupancy rate. I forgot the other part I was going to make. So, there you go.
We can come back to you. All right, we want to move on to...
So that is demand that Supervisor Beatty is speaking to. So Holiday Inn Express came on with 90 rooms. And now Home 2 Suites will come on with another 92 at exit 19, so that's adding to the supply.
Mr. Chairman, if I can just request that the next time we meet, and maybe it's not the next time, but the time after, we do this correlation between occupancy tax and what we're seeing at demand, and just make sure that we just do a follow-up on those numbers. And make
We
sure
have,
that we're
we have
tracking.
month by month. The treasurer has month by month also.
But right now, they don't correlate. So we're saying that there's a lag in what we're getting from occupancy tax. I'd like to kind of see, as 3 months from now, when we do have those numbers coming in, that there is that correlation. Just want to make sure that we double check.
Well, we're working on that, and Mr. Beatty mentioned, the best forecast is the end of the year. We know exactly how much the op tax went up last year. It's an amazing amount. I think it's 170,000. So that's where you gotta, by the end of the year, it's tough to do exact month by month because it just depends on weather. It depends on different products that go on around the area. But we'll get you those. Now we have those numbers.
I remember what I was going to say.
All right, quick.
The other point was, that does not include Airbnb.
No.
Which is a huge growth area, from what I see in all the counties. And those, we're not collecting anything from Airbnb, occupancy tax or anything yet. And so, we're increasing our room demand, actual rooms rented out, without even putting in the equation of Airbnb renting out more. I'd be pleased with what I'm seeing. That's just for me looking at the general picture here. So, there's a bigger piece at Airbnb getting more and more, yet we're still growing in the extra amount of rooms being rented. I think that's
Well, that's one of the biggest things in my mind that I wish, I mean, the county, we just got done trying to get, a law about plastic bags. I wish the county would make a law that we have to get Airbnb at our table and start getting them
I
to,
thought we were.
we're working on it, but it's still a little slow, right?
Yeah, it's real slow. It's stalled. The issue is the ability to charge for occupancy tax on the Airbnb. It's not Airbnb, it's home rentals. If you're going to have a home rental, you need to change the rules if you want to collect occupancy tax. We in Lake George, Kevin in Warrensburg, I just talked to Craig in Chestertown, we are getting ready for a public hearing on short-term rentals. And we consider a short-term rental anything less than a month is a short-term rental. And we want to issue a business license. We want to check to make sure they have all of the health, safety, and welfare things. You're going to rent your house out. Do you have smoke alarms? Do you have ingress and egress from the basement if people are in the basement? Do you have a place to park all the cars? How many bedrooms do you have? How many people can we expect there? And most importantly, we need a contact 24/7 here in Warren County. Not in Jersey, not in Massachusetts, right here. You have a fire in the house at 2 o'clock in the morning, you want to know somebody's there. How many people are in the building? So we're doing all that. The other thing we're doing, and we just had a meeting yesterday about this, is to require them to pay occupancy tax. Right now it's kind of a slippery slope. If you don't provide services, and generally they mean linens, you can rent them out and not pay occupancy tax. But we really feel that these, and we're all for them. If you want to rent your house, we're all for it, as long as you don't disrupt a residential area. And if you're going to do this, it's a business, you need to participate in that business. You need to pay occupancy tax. We spend occupancy tax to get all those people to come to Lake George. You're renting your house out, and you're not paying. So we're hoping to close that loophole, and that's the key to it, right there. You need to make sure you got a venue to collect the tax.
Kevin?
And
I'm
sales
a little
tax.
confused, because I thought we already passed it to have the treasurer collect from Airbnb.
No.
I think you would need to change your local law.
Well,
No, I don't,
No, we didn't.
looked at the law, and I don't think Mary, back me up on this or tell me if I'm wrong, but the way our law is written, I don't think that there's a problem with us collecting from these types. We are just still trying to get everything coordinated to collect them. Because they do. Airbnb, I know, collects occupancy tax for several other counties in the state.
couple of counties have done it.
Well, our
yes.
friends from the north told us last week
Yeah.
that they were collecting quite a bit of money on Nashville here. But we heard at the AATV meeting that Airbnb they were collecting a lot of money for Essex County and contributing to their budget, but they're missing out.
The conversation I had with Airbnb, and it started over a year ago at the county association, they want to come contract with each county in the state of New York, and what they'll provide is they will collect whatever monies are required from these rental units. So if we have the ability to charge for occupancy tax on these home rentals and sales tax, they will collect it from however many people they register, and they'll send one check to the county. What they won't do is they won't give you a list of all the people they have, but I can tell you, if you go online and punch in Lake George accommodations, they'll come right up. We check them every week.
Just hope we can get that moving forward.
Oh, yeah, it's
Maybe
big
next
bucks.
year.
A lot of money.
All right, let's keep this going. We'll have, you want to do ad workshop?
So, how do you
What? Peter, Peter, you want to explain who they are, so? everybody-
Yeah, sorry. So this is Ad Workshop. They have the contract for media buy year-round, and so a lot of that we hammered out 2 years ago to merge both the digital buy, which is becoming a bigger player in the industry, much bigger player in the industry, and the traditional TV buy. So we had in the past run some TV commercials in the winter time, but it just didn't seem cost effective to spend X amount producing a spot when the buy wasn't as significant. It shifted to almost like a 60-40 digital versus traditional TV media buy. So in the wintertime, we didn't do a TV campaign. We did a very heavy digital campaign. And then come summertime, which we'll get into, we start running TV again. So these guys handle the media buy, placements of our content, and strategies behind that. And they work in conjunction with us to figure out really the optimum placements, markets, and tactics to utilize in those.
So this is Christy and Matt.
Hi guys, my name's Christy Myhill. I'm the Senior Media Planner and Buyer at Ad Workshop. I've been there for 12 and a half years and have worked in the media department for about 7 or 8 of those years. I apologize if I start to sound hoarse. My allergies are getting the best of me this year. So I've been buying media for Warren County since we took them on as a client. Traditionally, it had been a lot of TV, and as the market changes, we have moved into a lot of digital buying. The report that I'm going over is the campaign that we ran for January and February of this year, and I won't read everything word for word. And if you guys ever need a copy, we can get something to you. So this is just the report, like I said, from January to February. Our main goal this past winter was to drive brand awareness of the deal that Gore Mountain was offering, a 2-day lift ticket deal for $109, ultimately increasing traffic to the website and ticket purchases. And then the secondary goals this year included just some general family travel, as well as promoting the factory outlets to the Montreal market. To achieve the goals that we set forward, we used a strategic mix of digital media tactics, and as Peter said, we moved away from television for the winter. We focused on tactics that would offer the greatest return in the travelers and skiers' decision-making process. So we research our audience, we try to figure out what devices they're on, what media they're consuming, and we use tools, in-house tools, research tools, to figure out how we're going to reach those consumers. So the different audience segments that we use, and I apologize, it's really small. We targeted outdoor winter recreation enthusiasts, and those are mostly millennials who are looking to plan trips around outdoor recreational pursuits, and this also included current skiers and new skiers. Second target, or our second audience segment, was families and couples, female decision makers aged 35 to 64 with a household income of $75,000 plus, who are in the market for indoor and outdoor family winter activities. And then our third target this winter were shoppers, females aged 18 to 64, whose interests lie within that of shopping, beauty, home and garden, anything that the factory outlets and the mall here have to offer. And then our geographic targets this year, our primary were New York City, DMA, Albany, and then our secondary were Syracuse, Utica, and the Montreal market. The tactics that we used for the Gore Mountain Co-op, we used Facebook and Instagram, native advertising, and retargeting. And then the tactics we used for the family travel and shopping, Facebook and Instagram again, Google AdWords, and then native advertising again. And the reason we chose this mix of tactics is because digital media is highly flexible, meaning we can make updates to the campaigns in real time, turn the campaigns off if there's really bad weather. So when there are large fluctuations in the weather, when, for instance, last winter when it was, a lot of rain, not much snow, we were able to turn the campaigns off, make a decision one day, and the campaign can be off that next second. And we do all of this stuff in-house. We have 4 individuals in our media department who work together. 3 of us are pretty capable of working the platforms that we're using. Most everything is in-house, not farmed out to an ad network or another company.
Christine?
Yes.
It says native advertising. I'm assuming that's me.
I'll go through it. I have an explanation of what it is
Okay.
When I get further to it.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a definition for everything that we're running here. So Facebook and Instagram. So that Facebook offers several different types of advertising campaigns that run in conjunction with the newsfeed ads, and that's what we primarily ran, were the newsfeed ads. But we can run Instagram and Audience Network. An Audience Network for Facebook is just companies that Facebook partners with that offer them the same targeting capabilities, and it's just more inventory available to us that we're purchasing. And so Instagram, it's an online mobile photo sharing site. People can share their pictures either publicly or privately, and it runs in conjunction with Facebook, so it's not a separate buy that we have to place. Running paid ads on Instagram will also help the organic reach of the Warren County Tourism brand on Instagram as well as Facebook. So the Audience Network, they bring the same features as Facebook, targeting, measurement tools, but they offer more scale. Like I said, there's more inventory available to us. Let me see here. So the Audience Network delivers these types of ads. There's a banner ad right here on the left-hand side, and an interstitial ad that just runs like, what's that? Yep, in between content. And then they also run native placements, and I'll get to native again here in a second. So the Flight for the Gore Co-op campaign ran from the 2nd of January to the 21st of January. It delivered over 4.8 million impressions, and we reached over 1.2 million individuals. Over 37,000 people took action on the ads that they saw, meaning they either clicked the like button, they loved it, they commented, they shared, they clicked it, or they actually liked the Facebook page of Warren County. So like I said, over 37,000 people took action on those ads, and that's a large number. The next ad, or next page, just shows the different types of ads. As I explained, the one here on the left is a desktop newsfeed ad. We said skier ride for less at Gore Mountain this season, the best ski deal this winter. For a limited time only, Gore Mountain and the Lake George area are offering their 2-day lift ticket special for only $109. Purchase your tickets today. Individuals have the option to click the Learn More button here with this newsfeed ad. This one here on the right-hand side is the interstitial. Audience Network native, so it appears just like a native ad, similar to the native campaign we ran, and then an Instagram ad highlighting a photo, and then it says best ski deal this winter. So native advertising. Native advertising is a form of advertising or display advertising that looks like it belongs on the page that you're on or the website that you're on. It flows with the page. It doesn't look like an ad. You'll see that there are some clickbaity types of ads that some people try to run just to get you to click on the ad, but our ads are always indicated that they're sponsored content, that they're sponsored by the Lake George area or whatever client we're running. Native advertising, like I said, they're referred to as sponsored stories. They're highlighted, so they know that so individuals know that they're not really just a clickbait ad, that it's real content, that if they click on this ad, they'll go to a trusted website with stuff they can read or act on. Native advertising runs across all devices, so meaning desktops, mobile devices, and tablets, and all channels, meaning video, display, and social. Native ad spending surpassed what was expected for 2017 in the industry, from $20.9 billion to over $22 billion, and is also expected to increase another 28% for 2018. Our campaign ran the same flight dates as the Facebook campaign from January 2nd to the 21st. This delivered over 3.5 million impressions, nearly 20,000 clicks, and a click-through rate of 0.56%, which is nearly 100% above average for the click-through rate for native ads. And here are some examples of what the ads look like. You'll see a lot of these ads on the bottom of, if you go to, for instance, your local news site, WNYT or WPTV in Plattsburgh, they're ads that appear below an actual news story, and it's promoting content that's true and real, and we get native advertising is one of our most successful tactics that we run within our agency. So, and it has always worked well for the Lake George area. And then just a couple of insights from our native campaign, just performance by state. So New York State had 2.6 million impressions. New Jersey, I won't go down the whole list, but we get a lot of inventory, of course, in New York State, specifically the New York DMA, because there is so much more inventory available because there are so many people there. And then performance by device. So desktop served nearly 1 million impressions, mobile over 1 million, tablet, and then in-app served 1.3 million impressions. And that means if you're on your smartphone playing a game, there are little pop-up ads, not necessarily pop-up ads, but ads that appear at the bottom of your phone with our content. Retargeting, I'll get into retargeting. So retargeting allows a brand to further communicate your message to a user who's engaged with your brand already. So if a user visited visitlakegeorge.com without completing a goal, meaning an email sign up, a download, a click on a specific link, we're going to grab that user's IP address and then retarget them when they go back on the web at some other point. The number one retargeter, if you guys are all familiar with Amazon.com, you put stuff in your cart, you go to another page, and then all of a sudden you have an ad that says, oh, you forgot you have this item in your cart. And that's what we do for the Lake George area. For most websites, only 2% of web traffic converts on their first visit, so that's why retargeting is so successful, because it gives people back to the website to reach the 98% of users who didn't convert right away. And retargeting is also a bottom funnel tactic, meaning if you look at the top of a funnel, you have brand awareness, and then it just keeps going down to where you're getting people to convert at the bottom of the funnel. So for this campaign, we had a dedicated landing page. It was visitlakegeorge.com, blog, and then how to ski lifts in New York's largest ski resort. So people who visited that site were actually sent back to that site because we had to jump through a few hurdles to get them to the Gore landing page. But the native campaign ran from January 8th to the 28th, and it delivered nearly 365,000 impressions. Not native, I'm sorry, retargeting. We had 1,600 clicks with a 0.44% click-through rate, and that's 200% above average of a standard retargeting campaign. So this is a creative that ran. It just really highlighted the great deal that people would get, buying a 2-day ticket to Gore Mountain. So that's the Gore Mountain campaign, and then we ran a A few other little campaigns, kind of similar to what we had done before. We promoted shopping at the factory outlets on Facebook and Instagram. That ran from the 3rd of January through the 31st of January. It delivered 1.6 million impressions, and it reached 383,000 individuals. Over 14,000 people took action on the ad, and as I said before, that means they commented, they liked, they loved, they shared, they clicked, or they liked the page. So there's a lot of metrics that they can do to engage with a Facebook ad. So we always highlight that the outlets are 2 hours from the border, save up to 20 to 70% off of retail prices at the factory outlets. And let me tell you, those Canadians love to come down here and shop because these ads have always gotten a lot of engagement. And every time I'm down here shopping, that's all I run into. So we know that it works up there, and people are coming down still.
Just to jump in, so the strategy with the winter is to lead with the big hitters. Winter is so weather dependent that places like Gore can still function even if the snow is light because they have snowmaking. Outlet shopping can still function whether it snows or doesn't snow. So the bulk of the push is behind that. And then we fill in supplementary on these niche pieces with our own internal promotion. So if the snowmobiles trail's open, we can put some monies behind that and say it's open right now, you know, get out here and enjoy, or push these winter carnivals and events kind of individually as the need arises.
And in regards to that, so it was a pretty good winter with the amount of snowfall that was received down here. So we promoted a little bit of family travel natively because it is the highest, it's the most successful campaign or tactic that we run. Yeah. So we promoted the gift of winter in the Lake George area. The native campaign delivered 1.2 million impressions with 5,800 clicks and a click-through rate of 0.49%, which is 70% above average. So that was a highly successful campaign. Here are a few ads on what they look like, and then just a little bit of campaign insights just from the native campaign, and it's just showing the spread of impressions across the different devices compared to clicks and click-through rate. And if you notice, in-app, that is also kind of mobile, but we're able to track that they're in-app, but it had a 0.93% click-through rate. So people are really clicking on the in-app because they're on their phone playing, not necessarily playing games, but they could be on a weather app, they could be on a news site app. So it's content that's relevant to them. And then our last tactic that we ran for family travel was Google AdWords. So this is just a search campaign. If somebody's going to Google and typing in winter activities to do in the Lake George area or skiing, snowboarding, we pay or we bid on these keywords. So our ads are able to show above other people who are paying on those keywords. So it's an industry-leading tactic for conversion, and it excels in reaching an extremely relevant audience. In addition to our own in-platform optimizations we make, we use a couple of tools called SEO Moz and SEMrush to monitor factors such as competitor keywords, bidding amounts, trending topics, and that kind of stuff. And then keywords used for this campaign included winter activities in the Lake George area, skiing, snowboarding, ice fishing, ice skating, etc. So anything that anybody would be interested in doing in the Lake George area. So this campaign ran a little bit longer because it was proving to be a super successful campaign. We ran that from the 2nd of January through the 28th of February. We had 71,000 impressions on our paid ads, or our paid keywords, nearly 2,000 clicks, and a 2.79% click-through rate, which is 30% above average for an AdWords travel-based campaign. Just a couple little ads that shows how they appear. They're usually just text ads, skiing and snowboarding, official Warren County website, and then we sent them to visit lakegeorge.com skiing, and then it just gives a little bit of content below that. Skiing and snowboarding are two of the can't-miss winter activities. Overall, the winter campaign was super successful for the Warren Lake George area as well as Gore, and the family travel, shopping, those always do really well. And then just a little bit of an outlook for what we plan on for summer. So the plan for the summer of this year is slightly different than what we've done in previous years. A large portion of the budget is being moved away from traditional linear television and being reallocated to digital video. Digital video meaning connected TV, so your internet connected TVs, pre-roll, which you find watching online, native video, pre-roll video, and Facebook video. And there are several reasons why we've decided to do this. The majority of digital video is trackable, meaning we know we can add a tracking code and we know where the traffic is coming from when it goes to our website. And viewership of digital video continues to rise, and it has continued to rise over the past several years. We use eMarketer as a research platform to give us some really great stats on digital video. So 168.1 million people in the United States used an internet-connected TV in 2017, and that's 10% over 2016, and is expected to rise even more in 2018. Digital video viewers is expected to rise as well every year forward. So there's a little chart from eMarketer from 2018. There's 228.8 million users, which is 81% of internet users, and then up to 2022 it's going to rise to 248 million users, which is 84% of internet users. So the majority of individuals who are using the internet are using digital video. And then digital video ad spend is expected to rise this year and the next several years from advertisers, 17.8% or $17.87 billion this year, all the way up to $29.61 billion in 2022. So people are consuming it, advertisers are buying it, and they know that people are consuming it. And then just a flow chart of what we're running this summer. So it's really hard to see. So we're running specific tactics in specific markets. So Albany, Syracuse, New York City, Hartford, New Haven, Boston, and Montreal. We're going to be running our traditional TV, which I think we've knocked the budget down by half of what we ran last year. And then digital, we call it family travel. We run that in all markets. We're going to continue with the native advertising, Facebook, Google AdWords, programmatic advertising, which is buying banner ads on websites. We run that in-house as well. That includes pre-roll, geofencing, connected TV. We can run all those campaigns in-house. We're buying site direct from a couple of companies, Meredith Corporation. They're hitting our pretty much #1 target of women 35-54 with families. They include like Family Circle and a bunch of other women-focused magazines. Retargeting to get people coming back to your site, connected TV, and then we've just found a new tactic of location-based targeting, which will be people who in Albany who view an ad. We're able to grab some data from them, and we can technically geofence or target just the Lake George area. And once they're in app off of the 20,000 plus sites, they ping off of a cell phone tower. That's considered a conversion, and we'll be able to track how many people saw our ad in Albany and then traveled up to the Lake George area. We've started some Facebook campaign recently. We're promoting the Time magazine post that's already been running, and then we're going to run through the end of July and the first week of August, where we'll take a couple-week hiatus and then go into the fall campaign. So that's pretty much it. If I went too fast for you and you have any questions, let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. A number of questions, and I'm really naive with this stuff,
That's
right? But
okay.
you talk about the click-through rates.
Yes.
And you mentioned percent above average.
Yep.
I'm curious about what the percent target is for a successful campaign.
So the average click-through rate, for instance, for native is a 0.29%.
That's the average.
That's the average.
Right.
Within travel. And then The majority of ours, the Gore campaign was 100% above average, and then the family travel one.
Exactly. So we're talking about percentage above average, but there must be some kind of metrics that the industry uses to say you need to be at this level
So that's
to
the
say
point,
that you've
that's
been
the
really been successful.
0.29%. So that's the industry average. You always want to be at least 15 to 20% above industry average to be considered successful.
Okay.
And we're usually, 100% above average for a lot of our campaigns.
So can we do, and I've got a couple of questions, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind.
This, only reason is we got to have a...
I'm going to be quick.
match at
We're going to be quick.
11:30.
All right. So are we tracking how we drive this through actual bookings or visits?
So that's one part that we are unfortunately unable to do, only because we don't have the metrics for that. So we can send people to the website, we can send them to the travel pages, we can send them to the specific lodging pages, but once we can track if they've clicked on a specific ad and they go off to a specific hotel site, but we can't track the purchases
We
from
can't.
that
So we
site.
can't identify whether we won, whether this actually provided some actual win for the county. Okay.
Our wins are considered traffic to the site.
Okay. And just the next time you do a presentation, I'm just curious if you could put dollars per click through.
Yep, I can do
Right,
that.
whether it's dollars or cents or whatever it is,
yep.
right? I'd be curious to
Yep.
see what that is.
We've got all that.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Heating and business is so important to us. And it, in my experience, it fluctuates with the exchange rate. So what's the numbers should we be concerned when the exchange rate goes a certain direction? Do you have that information, or do you have a good feel for that?
So I do a analysis of travelers coming from Canada who are here for 1 day, who are here for 2 days. And Tom, do you have that spreadsheet? Okay, so I do a comparison of this year versus last year, of how many people are still coming down. And the 1 year that the exchange rate really took a dive, travelers took a dive. But we have increased ever since. And the border crossing where people are coming down from here in Montreal, Plattsburgh area, that's out of all of Canada and every single border in the United States, that one has been down east, and that one is continuing to rise still. So we know people are...
up a little bit in Champlain border crossing actually. That's gone up this past year. We ran in Montreal last year, and the traffic to the website's up 400% in Montreal.
So people are still coming down to shop specifically.
Right, but I was just curious, did you have an exchange rate feel for when
Like
it
that,
gets
like once it hits that, everyone's
Yeah, is that a showstopper?
No. So over the past several years, it's been between 70 and right now it's 77 cents on the dollar. I haven't seen it since the first initial dive where the Canadian dollar went down. We haven't seen anything like that.
2
People are
years
still
ago, we
coming.
pulled out because of the traffic over Champlain was down tremendously.
Yeah, so that was the
That was
initial
peak
dive.
rate for us.
And that, I think the exchange rate was 72% or 72 cents-ish. And right now it's climbed back up to 77.
You're not seeing a threshold.
No.
It's like, well, tourism's not going to go well this year.
The taxes that they pay up there still compared to traveling down here, buying everything at the outlets or Walmart or wherever, are still less than compared to the taxes they pay up there. So it still benefits them to travel down.
All right. Well, thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it. Some of us understand it, and like me, I don't. But that's the technology world.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move along. Anything else, Peter, Joanne?
Just one quick thing. We did do a trial run test of promotion for Adirondack Thunder hockey. It was pretty successful, again, small scale. But we then took that information, brought it to Jeff, had a meeting with him about how we can better use some tactics that are working elsewhere to implement across the Thunder season. Kind of honed in on some midweek games where they'd like to see if we could move the needle. And again, kind of just developing a program that we'll implement again next year to hopefully get them some more butts in the seat.
All right. Any other questions? I'm opening to the public. Any other questions? It was a good meeting. Sorry we didn't have more people here, but they probably were afraid we were going to be an hour and a half late again. But maybe next month. All right, motion adjourned.
Move.
Mr. Dickinson, Mr. Stroud. All right, all in favor? We're adjourned.
All right.
So moved.
Adjourned.